welcome back to Neon Fastique. Now on this week's episode, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina from Archie Comics. Now, if you're not already aware, Sabrina's Chilling Adventures returns this October with issue 9, written by Roberto Sacasa and illustrated by Robert Hack, picking up exactly where we left off previously, and as you would expect, various variant covers for you to fan the flames. No pun intended. So, if you missed this series first time round, this is the hit horror comic book series that spawned the successful Netflix show, although both are very different. So if you're a fan of illustrated horror, H.P. Lovecraft, witches, magic, devils and demons, then this is the comic book series for you. Now, before we take a closer look at the comic books themselves, there are a couple of things that you need to know if you're not already aware, okay? So in the Archie horrorverse, there are two versions of the character of Sabrina Spellman. So firstly, she appears as a support character in Afterlife with Archie, going on to become the main character lead in Chilling Adventures once this series had finished. And for all the comic book collectors out there, her first appearance as Chilling Sabrina is in issue 6 of Afterlife with Archie, where she finds herself as a patient in an institution run by H.P. Lovecraft, who, along with Sabrina's aunties Hilda and Zelda, taunt Sabrina to become the bride of Cthulhu. Now, this first series of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina debuted around October 2014, featuring art by Robert Hack and was written by Roberto Sacasa. Now, this new ongoing series featured a much darker, sinister take on an already established characters from the successful Sabrina the Teenage Witch series, but was also heavily influenced by a much older comic book series from 1972, which was The Chilling Adventures in Sorcery, a comic book featuring horrific tales of horror narrated by none other than Sabrina herself. Now, this original run only lasted 2 issues, but in 1973 was rebooted again under the Archie imprint Red Circle Comics, but this time around it didn't feature the narration by Sabrina. Anyway, so now that we're all on the same page, as it were, let's take a look at the series so far. Now, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina has been collected as a whole twice now, okay? Once as a trade paperback collecting issues 1 through 5 under the title The Crucible, and then later as the Occult edition in hardback collecting all 8 issues plus a few little extras. And supporting the main series, we've had a couple of issues offered via Halloween Comic Fest, which is, for those that aren't aware, basically free comic book day but for Halloween, and an additional one-shot collecting issues 5 through 8. So let's carry on with the original series itself. Okay, so here we go. So as I stated earlier, the first appearance of Sabrina Spellman from The Chilling Adventures is in Afterlife with Archie issue 6. Okay, now there are variant covers for this particular issue. Well, there's variant covers for all the Afterlife with Archie issues as well as the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, but that just makes collecting a little bit more exciting, doesn't it? Anyway, so that's her first appearance. Up next is issue 1 of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Now this is a die cut variant cover, which is interesting. Up next we have issue 2, which has a rather striking cover, I think you'll agree. Now, a lot of people will recognise this as this was used extensively throughout the marketing for the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina for the Netflix series. Okay. Up next we have a homage horror cover. Now there are a few of these in this series, so if I remember rightly, this is the homage cover for the Danish movie Haxan. Now if I'm wrong, leave a comment below, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Anyway, with issue 4 we have another homage cover. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, this is the homage cover for the movie Carrie, as written by Stephen King. Great looking cover, this one. Fantastic. And up next, we have another homage cover. Now, this is issue 5. And for those of you that aren't aware again, this is the homage cover from the movie Creepshow. But what is more interesting, if you take a look at Sabrina in the bottom right-hand corner, she's reading an issue of Sorcery from Red Circle Comics. Now this is a little homage to the Chilling Adventures in Sorcery from Red Circle Comics back in the early 1970s. That's quite a nice little touch there. Anyway, coming up next we have issue 6, with is another die cut variant cover. How piercing that looks. Just jumps out at you from the comic stands, doesn't it? Fantastic. Anyway, with next issue is issue 7. I love this cover. It just oozes that creepy atmosphere. It's fantastic. And last but not least, issue 8. So in October, when issue 9 is released, this basically, as I said before, follows on from this very issue. Now, last but not least is a one-shot tied to the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is Madame Satan. Now, the first appearance of Madame Satan, if I'm remembering this correctly, is in Pep Comics, issue 15 from 1941. Isn't that fantastic? So anyway, this is a one-shot, and if I remember, coming in this November is another one-shot tied to the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this look at this selection of comics from what I think is a fantastic comic book series. I really enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to more this October. But anyway, thanks again for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you very much for everybody who subscribed to this channel. It really does help. I do appreciate it. Thanks very much. Well, until next time, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Oh, I got a live one here.